All right, so welcome back. This is going to be our cardio with Pilates, or should I say Pilates with cardio elements. So we have a lot to work through today, and all I'm going to say is make sure that you have a good open space and some water to stay hydrated, or whatever fluid you need to stay hydrated, but try and make sure it's not sugary because you're going to need it. So we're going to work through 5 or 6 sections. You will see me reference in my notes. 5 or 6 sections, starting with our warm-up. Then we're going to go into each section after that. It's going to be fast, quick paced. Whenever you need that break, you take it. And I will offer modifications everywhere possible, but you know your body is better than I do. So make sure you listen to your body and give it that space that it needs to survive this day's challenge. So without further ado, let's get stuck in with our stretching and warm up. You're going to take your space on the mat, and we're coming into a standing side bend. So take a nice deep breath in, circle the arms overhead. And we're going to take the left hand around the right wrist and then send the right arm over to the left. Keep the hips centered and gently pull that right shoulder back just to open the chest. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, switch grip, right hand over left wrist, and come into a side bend on the opposite side. So use the breath to create that rhythm and that tempo as you transition from left to right, right to left. And we're going to do one more on each side. And then come back to center. And we're going to take, if I turn to one side, there we go. And we're going to float the arms down by our side. And we're going to twist through the torso, looking over one edge of the mat. Float the arms back overhead, and we're going to switch side. So this hip twist or spine twist is happening through the center of the spine. There's a slight rotation through the hips. If there is, just pull the hips back to face the top of the mat so you feel this rotational stretch through the lower to mid spine. Let's do 2 more on each side. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. The shoulders should be warm now. Last one. Beautiful. Lift the arms overhead and then fold forwards. So I want you to roll, or should I say pedal through the hips in your forward fold. Find that length through the back of the spine, back of the legs, and your arms, shoulders, head should be hanging freely, nice and heavy. Anchor both heels down. And inhale, take a halfway lift. And you're going to set the hands down as you exhale, stepping back into a plank. So you can float the knees down for this plank, keep the core engaged, and as you inhale, lift the hips up and back into down dog. And then breathe in through the spine, transition through plank, send the hips down, coming into upward dog. And then lift through the hips for down dog. We're going to do one more of these, finishing in down dog. Then let's take the left leg up and back, and we're going to pull it forward, setting the foot on the outside of the hands. Float the back knee down. We're coming into some hip openers, so float the arm up and over the head, over the hip, reaching for the sky. Settle into those hips as you sink forwards and down to the ground. Float the hand back down, and let's transition through downward dog onto the other side. So we're introducing a little bit of spine rotation, opening the hips, sending the thigh to the outside edge of the mat, using that breath. to create the space and flowing with the movement to create that heat. And we're going to do one more on each side. And set the hand down on the ground, step back into your down dog. Bend through the knees, eyes to fingers, and then walk the feet to hands. We're back in our forward fold. Bend through the knees and roll up through the spine. Gently roll the shoulders back and forwards. So we should be nice and warm, nice and mobile. We're going to get stuck into the meat and veg of this practice. So our first movement is going to be a squat with a reach. So take your time, sip that water. We're going to start with, each round has about 5 movements that we're going to work through. Now I'll tell you when we're on to the next round, just so you can prepare for a change in movements and approach. So, squat reach, you have about 30 seconds to prepare yourself. You want your feet hip width apart or shoulder width if you feel a bit more comfortable in your hips there, toes facing forwards. As we squat down, arms float in front of us. As we stand, we reach overhead, feet down and grounded, floating down through the arms, chest up nice and tall. Okay, join in 4, 3, 2, 1. Squat down, chest tall, feet flat. Drive up through both legs, keep the core engaged. The reason you're keeping the core engaged is so you're not arching into the lower back. Big stretch. Stay with the breath. Inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. So as you elevate the arms overhead, you're squeezing into your upper back and the lats as well. They're helping to keep the arms overhead. Try and keep the shoulders down and away from the ears as you reach overhead. Last squat, and relax the arms down by your side, roll them back. Take a position at one end of your mat, feet shoulder width apart, sink down into your squat. We're stepping over to the other end for lateral squats and then stepping back. Join in. Chest up nice and tall. Stay deep in the squat. And see, or should I say imagine, you got a low ceiling and you're trying to make it through this hallway. You have to stay down. Keep the hips nice and level. Core engaged. We're almost there. I've just realized I was crunching into my shoulders. Keep the shoulders down and away from the ears. Finish off. Stand and relax. Take a nice deep breath in. We're going to sink into our squat. Keep the hips nice and level. Taking one heel off of the ground, keep the hips level. We're pulsing through the squats. Join in. Feel free to bring the hands to the waist. And if you feel like the hips hiked slightly on the side of that elevated leg, just draw it down towards the ground. The flat-footed leg is the one that's really having to work. But you're squeezing the top of the thighs as you stand, and then coming halfway down. Stay with that fire in your legs. Keep the core engaged. Give me one more and stand. Ooh, couldn't stand quicker. Shake it out, sip some water. We'll go on to the opposite side. Sink down into a squat, elevate that heel. Big squeeze through the thighs. This workout got real toasty real quick, right? We've been working all the way up to this. My legs are already shaking. And this is only the first set of exercises. Just be mindful of that. Stay with me. We only got a few more seconds. 2, 1, and stand. Shake the legs out, sip some water. We're going for backwards lunge or reverse lunge. So feet hip width apart. Nice and tall through the spine. Step back, bend through both legs, keeping the chest nice and tall, core engaged. Step in and alternate sides. You can have your hands on the waist as you join in, or you can have your hands extended in front of you. This encourages your chest to stay tall. Try not to let the back knee meet the ground. Let it hover just above. Last one, standing tall, shake out the legs. First lot done. Taking a position on the back of the mat for plank walkouts. Take a nice deep breath overhead, stretching the arms, fold forwards. Plant the hands down the ground and walk out into a plank. Option to float the knees down to the ground. Walk it back in to stand. Feel each section of the spine opening up as you roll down. Strong through the core. Squeezing your belly button into your spine through your plank. Finish in a standing position. Shake out the legs. We're on the ground. Grab some water. We're on the ground. I'm trying to catch my breath as well. So from here, we're coming into a tabletop position. We're in bear. We step back into plank and then step into bear. So this is also known as your tabletop or quadruped position. You want to keep your back flat, core engaged, knees come beneath the hips, and then you step out again. Alternate the leg that steps in and out. Push the chest from the ground. And if this is too strong for you, then just float the knees down to the ground and step out into your plank. Float the knees down. Take a little breath. Not too long, because you're rolling over onto your back. For spine stretch, roll up. Extend the arms overhead. Roll up into your spine stretch. I'm rolling back down to the ground, keeping shoulders relaxed. We're almost there. You're doing beautifully. Give me one final roll up, and then rolling down. Finished with the arms extended overhead, legs stretched out. We're going to point the toes An option to keep the arms overhead, lifting through the chest and the legs, or you can bring your hands down to or across the chest. So we have scissors here. You're curling your chest towards your thighs. This is your alternative, or you can bend through the knees to take that load off of the lower back. Keep the belly button grounded and find what works for you. Lift the chest higher. Feel the beads of sweat working its way down your forehead. Feel the core working. Come on. Last one. Draw both thighs in. Circle them around. Roll up. So feet down on the ground. This is one variation of your spine twist. Extend both arms in front of you. And we're twisting onto the outside of the thigh, working into obliques. Sweep it back through the middle and over to the other side. Relax through the shoulders. Imagine you're holding a bowl of water and you're passing it from left to right. Being handed the bowl on one side, passing it over to the other. Just keep the spine nice and long, core engaged. Keep it up. Stay with the breath. Last one. And rest. Roll up. So shake out the hips if you need to. Roll down through the spine. I'm just repositioning myself here. Feet shoulder width apart. We're coming into a bridge, single leg bridge. Roll up through the spine. Take one leg off the ground into tabletop. We're rolling down halfway so the tailbone doesn't touch the ground, and then lift all the way up. Keep the hips level, core engaged. Push through that supporting leg, squeeze through the glutes. Imagine you're driving your knee up to the sky. Alternative is extending through that leg. Last one. Roll all the way down. Let's balance it out and be kind to the other side. So opposite side, come into tabletop. Lift through the hips, then come into tabletop. Find that center and that balance. Roll down halfway. All the way up. Option to extend leg. Keep that control, connection with the hips, with the core, connection with your center. Let's go. Give me one more big lift, big squeeze. Slowly roll down through the spine. So we'll keep the same position. We're going back into our bridge, keeping that core engaged. We'll keep that tension and pressure out of your lower back. We're going into a pulse. So lift through the hips, both legs grounded. We're coming down halfway and all the way up. Short, sharp movements. Use the breath as you pulse. Squeeze. Keep that control. Make sure that you're pushing through both legs evenly. I notice sometimes I'm working through one side more than the other, so I balance it out. Focus on what you're doing and that connection. Roll down. Pull both thighs into your chest. We're coming on into a side position. So hips stacked, knees bent, shoulder above the forearm. Engage the core and then lift through the hip. Extend the arm overhead. And then we're reaching through as though we're trying to wrap our arm around us. And then roll up, big stretch. So I want you to work into your obliques like you're trying to reach past your obliques for the back of your buttocks. That's actually a nice reference point. That's automatically going to help you work into your obliques and engage it. Keep the hips up nice and high and keep the hips forwards as well to open them up, squeezing the glutes. Slowly roll down through the spine. Let's change side. Engage the core. Gently push through the forearm, lift through the hips, extend the arm and reach through. Keep smiling, keep working. This is the first time I've told you not to smile. It's really hard when you're working hard, right? I know you just want it to be over, but stay with it, stay present. All you have to focus on is what you're doing right now. Give me one more reach. Extend and slowly roll down through the spine. Beautiful work. Let's come into a front position. We're going to go in a forearm plank. We're going to take both legs back. Option to float the knees down. Plank jacks, we're stepping out to the side and back in. This is the variation with your knees down. If your knees are up, then you can step out and in. Squeeze the glutes as you step out. Push chest away from the thighs or from the ground. You're keeping that core engaged. So in the plank position, it feels like you're pulling your belly button up into your spine, flattening the lower back. One more tap. And float the knees down. Take a load off. Shift back into child's pose, sip some water. As we're going to come into two more movements to finish off. Three, sorry. So we're coming on to our front. Forehead down on the ground. Extend the arms, overhead fingertips down. Zip up the legs. Exhale, lift through the torso. Supported back extension slowly. Roll down through the ground. I said through the ground, roll down through the spine. We're lifting the chest and the head. Keep the chin tucked. You're working into your lower back. Extending through the spine. Fingertips are down for light support. Slowly roll down. Option to take child's pose. You've got 10 seconds. We're going to come back into another back extension. Legs only for hypers. So you're going to rest your forehead on your hands. Then lift through the thighs. Squeeze the thighs together. Slowly lower down. And lift. Keep the core engaged. Squeeze the buttocks. Squeeze the back of the thighs. I know it's really hard to keep the core engaged, that lift through the belly button while you're also lifting the thighs off of the ground. There's a lot of work and effort that I'm asking of you, but that's what's going to make the difference, that effort. Slowly roll down, Flex the feet and shift back into down dog. So from your down dog, bring the feet hip width apart, loads of length through the spine. Transition into high plank and then back into your down dog. So we're transitioning through the two. This is a beautiful opportunity to stretch out the lower back and at the same time still working those back muscles to help stabilize your body. Squeeze the tops of the thighs in your plank. You're pressing the heels to the back edge of your mat. That's going to switch on your calf muscles. Shoulders start and finish. They finish over your hands in your plank. Finishing in downward dog, send the knees down to the ground, shift back into child's pose for a brief rest. And then inhale, roll up through the spine. And we're going to take a position in tabletop. Push through both arms, lift as we come into hover, so knees a couple inches off of the ground. So this is option one. Option two, you can step back into a full plank to hold. So shoulders over your hands, fingers spread, gripping into the mat, pushing the chest away from the ground, spread those shoulder blades apart. Lift your belly button into your spine, squeeze your buttocks. And then squeeze the tops of your thighs and push your heels to the back of the mat. Stay connected with the breath. Float the knees down to the ground. Knees wider than the hips, shift back into child's pose to take a rest and finish off. Knowing that the hard work is done, feel free to find openness through the hips, rocking gently side to side. Gently draw some wrist circles in both directions. And then inhale, roll up through the spine, set the hips down and let the chest rise. Feel free to come down onto your forearms for a Sphinx pose, drawing the shoulders down, pushing through the arms for a cobra stretch. And inhale, roll down onto the ground. Pull one or both heels into your hips or your buttocks, reaching above your ankles, resting your forehead on the ground. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push your feet into your hands, pulling the shoulders and chest open, lifting the chest off the ground. Keep the chin tucked for this one, so you're still looking at the top edge of the mat. Push a little bit more. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, roll down, pulling your heels into your buttocks, stretching the tops of the thighs. Deep breath in. As you exhale, release, stretch. I'm going to press the hips and chest away from the ground and transition onto your buttocks, extend through the legs. I want you to take one foot and bring it on the outside of the opposite thigh. So bending that knee and then hugging it into the chest. So if it's your left leg that's bent, Wrap your right arm around that thigh, then send your left arm up into the sky. Big stretch through the lats, and then circle that hand down behind you, looking over the back shoulder. Sit up nice and tall so you're not leaning into it. And feel the length from the tailbone through the crown of your head with each inward breath. Nice. With the next breath out, unravel yourself. Let's change side. So we're hugging thigh into the chest, bringing the knee to the center, extend up to the sky with the free arm, circle it around down onto the mat for a seated spine twist. With the next breath out, unravel yourself. Let's take both legs and extend them along the mat. Take a nice deep breath in, extend through the arms, reaching for the sky, and as you exhale, hinge forwards at the hips, sending the chest down to the thighs, let the arms float down and rest wherever they land. And with the next breath in, roll up through the spine. To finish off, blink the eyes open if you had them closed, gently shake out the legs, and roll the shoulders back. Beautiful work. I want you to give yourself a round of applause for a wonderful, wonderful trip or journey this far. We're 26 days in and we only have 2 more days left. I'm really looking forward to the celebratory workout or practice and a little encouragement to reflect towards the end to close out this challenge. But until then, enjoy your day, whatever you decide to do with it. Stay blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.